welcome to the 25th edition of Sunday Night Football with Bengal Jim and Friends, guys. Unbelievable. We've been doing this for a long time now, 25 weeks in.
Still going. This is longer than my first marriage, legit.
Yeah. So on the screen, we've got a massive amount of people right now on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook logging in, viewing right now. Obviously on the screen here, we have James, my friend from Indianapolis, and my good friend from up north, from Brantford, Ontario, Jamie Stevens. We're not going to get into any trivia today. We've got to do a quick get to our guest here in a second, but a happy 70th birthday to the main man, Isaac Curtis. The big 7-0 today. We've been working on Isaac to try to get him on the show, but happy birthday to Isaac. Also, during the show today, we will be giving away, naming the winner of the 2 free tickets and free parking to this week's game against the city up north. So a lot of fun today. So look, we're going to be very positive today. Just keep in mind that 11-4-1 is still feasible for this team right now. We just got to get on a winning streak here, starting with the Brownies. So we'll get that going this week. Also, so we have 2 major guests on today, guys. We've got the Hall of Fame legend, Bengal legend, NFL legend, Anthony Munoz on here coming up here in about another minute. We're going to be talking about that donations for the Anthony Munoz Foundation. We're really we've already raised a few $100 for that this week, selling some shirts. Jamie, can you pop those shirts up? I think James might have sent that to you.
There they are from Sunday in Indianapolis. And speaking of that, we want to thank our friends at the Bengal Trailer for joining us for a tag team World Championship tailgate in Indianapolis. Proceeds from those T-shirts do go to the Anthony Munoz Foundation. As Jimmy said, it was great tailgate, the game. Yeah, whatever. We want to welcome our friends from Houday Nation joining us tonight, and exciting night. I'm going to stop talking so we can bring our Hall of Famer on.
Yeah, so we got Anthony here coming on, and then after Anthony, we got Willie Anderson coming on. Man, we've got 2 Bengal legends, the 2 best offensive linemen in Bengal history. But we're going to start it off with a Hall of Famer. Let's just get to it, Jamie. Let's go ahead and do the introduction. We got an introduction video for Mr. Munoz.
Many would have to agree with the Bengals line coach. The 3rd overall pick taken in the NFL draft in 1980 was prepared to protect his lair better than any other Bengal in the history of the franchise. What this new breed of cat didn't realize was that he would be looked upon as the greatest to ever play the position of offensive left tackle. The 6'6", 285-pound University of Southern California alumnus had speed and agility to complement his size. He used those attributes to open up holes for Bengal backs, as 6 times during Munoz's career, Cincinnati players rushed for over 1,000 yards, including the 1988 and 1989 seasons when his team led the NFL in rushing. Munoz had incredible work ethics. During the offseason, he would continue to lift weights to improve his strength, in addition to running between 2 and 4 miles every day, while during the season, spending endless hours studying his opponents. A definite student of the game, and yet on Sundays, it was he who gave lessons. For 13 seasons, Anthony Munoz played the position of offensive left tackle at a level second to none. His awards are endless. 11 consecutive years voted All-Pro. 3 times selected as the NFL's Offensive Lineman of the Year, 1981, 1987, and 1988, while receiving accolades from numerous sports organizations. But for all those awards, he is most deserving for being recognized as a great humanitarian, giving his time to community services for the last 20 years. In 1991, he was voted the NFL's Man of the Year, a well-deserved honor, as is his induction to Canton, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Munoz.
Anthony, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. How's everybody doing tonight?
Awesome. Hey, Anthony, I watched that video. I just got goosebumps going on right now, brother. That's an awesome intro. We pulled that off one of your foundation sites, man. That was awesome. So everybody that's watching right now, we got a massive amount of people watching right now. that intro was awesome. And also to kind of understand that, he was drafted number 1 in 1980 by the Cincinnati Bengals. He was a Bengals from Cincinnati Bengal from 1980 to 1992. Earlier this year, Anthony, we did a huge Ring of Honor inductee ourselves through our followers, and you were number 2, right behind, if I'm not mistaken, Paul Brown, in induction into our 15 top 16 Ring of Honor. It's a pleasure to have you, buddy, in our 25th episode.
Well, appreciate it. I'm honored. Number 1, Paul Brown's got to be the man. It's amazing. The guy that started the organization here in Cincinnati, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and it's amazing what that man brought to the game of football. You can just go right down the line. And, the one thing that amazes me, I just got to talk about the innovator, Paul Brown. And one of the things, everything from the face mask to the playbook to messenger guards, but the one thing that just blows me away, we all know the transmitter that the coach uses with the quarterback, where he can call the play of the quarterback. I think it was either the 1950s or the 60s. Paul Brown tried that. He tried the transmitter in the helmet to relay the signal, but I guess he was catching too many of the local radio stations, and it didn't work. But, can you believe that man already had tried that years and years before the NFL put that into use? But I'm thrilled that I was around, that he was around for 10 years of my career before we lost him, and the guy was just an amazing football man.
Truly an innovator. So, Anthony, I know we got you for a limited time, got a bunch of stuff to get to. So we're going to start off from our side on your college days. And in 1978, there's a lot of people don't know this, but you played college baseball at USC, and you guys won the College World Series, I think, in 1978. Yep. And you were a player on that team. And I want Jamie to pop up a picture. I'm sure you've seen the picture 100 times. So help us understand, Anthony, what position did you play? And good grief, please say you weren't a pitcher, because I wouldn't have been in the batter's box if you were a pitcher.
Well, it's interesting you have that picture. Baseball was my first love growing up and even in high school. Just to give you a little history, in high school, I was a third baseman. I did some pitching in high school, but mainly a third baseman. I got to USC on a football scholarship, and, of course, they'd allowed me to play baseball, permitted me to play baseball. In college, actually, I didn't play my freshman year in school, but it was my sophomore year in school, so that would have been my freshman year of baseball. I played a little first base, DH'd a little bit, but I was a relief pitcher. So once my arm got into shape, they put me in the bullpen, took the bat out of my hands. The only bat I used was a fungo bat, hitting balls to the outfielders. But I actually was a relief pitcher the one year I pitched at SC.
So we want to know your fastball. What did you get it up to? You were like high 90s?
You know what? Back then, I don't know. I don't remember ever being clocked. I just know that for the first time as a pitcher there early on in my career at SC, I only pitched like 11, 12 innings. But one of the first times I came in was the first time that I saw me throw a fastball and the ball went out of the park faster than I got. That was the first time anybody took me deep. And but I don't know. It was, I had a great pitching coach. I learned how to pitch. In high school, I had a fastball curveball, so they both had to be working. If one wasn't working, I had to depend on the other. I got to college, actually learned to throw a change, and then I learned how to throw a slider. So I had 4 pitches. I thought that was huge.
That's awesome. All right, so Anthony, a lot of people don't know either that you played in a couple different movies here. So we got a film clip for you, Anthony. So let's go ahead and play this film clip.
Oh my goodness!
It'll be clip number 2.
Yep, I got it.
You, sir. Por favor. ¿Cómo se llama? Miguel Fernando Jesús Gómez. No soy mojado porque tengo mi carta verde. Mi mamá y mi papá viven en los Estados Unidos. Un momento. Nomás que iba un raite, no tenía un raite para los Estados Unidos. ¿Cómo se llama? Miguel Fernando Jesús Gómez.
So, Anthony, please tell me that was you.
that would be me. I think it was my junior in college. I believe, if I remember correctly, my offensive line coach had a fraternity brother that was a producer, and they needed some extras. And so I went to Valencia, California, which is north of LA. That's where Magic Mountain, the big amusement park, is located. And I was an extra in a Charles Bronson movie, Borderline. And they just said, okay, Bruno Kirby was the guy interviewing me. He was just starting out, and he's big time now. And, he thought he knew Spanish. So my job was just to go right up and start rambling some Spanish as he was asking me questions. But that was me. That was me as a junior at the University of Southern California.
So I'm kind of wearing this like Anthony, man. So I love the hair. I was digging it, man.
That was huge, man. When I got here as a freshman, I still laugh because there was a lot of rookie pictures when I got to Cincinnati, and I had the big old fro, man. It was long and curly, and yeah. So you're looking good. You're sporting it. I think mine hung a little lower, so you got to get those curls to hang a little lower.
I'll figure it out. Feels good to have hair, Anthony.
The
I'm just telling
great.
you.
My hair used to be that black, but not anymore.
Oh man. That just. That's funny. I think that movie was 1979. What do you say? 1979, I guess. Borderline was the name of the movie, I think, right?
Yeah, it really was. Charles Bronson was the head guy there, and it was a lot of fun because as extras, at lunchtime you just kind of lay out or sit out on the front lawn of the house where they were filming, and they'd bring you lunch. And the great thing about it, Charles Bronson, who was a big star, he came out and sat in the front lawn with us and just kind of talked to us and had lunch with us. So. No, that was fun. It was a lot of fun.
That's great. So it's funny. Jim McNally was on the show with us, believe it or not, last week, Anthony, and we pulled on Max Montoya as a surprise to him, and he was talking about you and Max, and he was kind of making fun of Max being the only Mexican he knew that didn't know how to speak Spanish. So I thought he might have been talking about you, but then I heard that clip. I was like, Anthony knows Spanish. He's got to know Spanish, right?
It's funny because, I grew up, my grandparents, great-grandparents are all from Mexico, and everybody spoke Spanish, but as kids, it was all English. We heard it, we understood it. So the whole perspective was that, here you got these two Mexican guys from East LA, and they don't know how to speak Spanish. Well, I got to Cincinnati in 1980, and there was no Spanish-speaking people here, very few. So we, fast forward, we go to the Super Bowl in Miami, and the word was the Bengals have two big Mexican offensive linemen. They don't know how to speak Spanish. So I got down there and started doing these interviews in Spanish, and they're like, "Wait, we heard you don't speak Spanish." I said, "No, I can speak Spanish." And the fun thing for me the last 10 years is we've been doing character camps around the country. And then we've been in Mexico 6 of the last 8 years. And when I get to Mexico, they want me to do interviews in Spanish the whole time. And I'm not, great, but I can speak it. And so what I do when I get to Mexico, I do most of my interviews in Spanish. So, that was my voice. Unlike the other movie I made where they dubbed my voice, The Right Stuff, that was me and that was my Spanish. So, yep.
That's funny. That's funny. So tell us about, I know your senior year, you were hurt early in the year, and you really didn't play until later in the year, until the bowl game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
Yep. Forrest Gregg came out to see you. And I've heard this story, Anthony, but I would love for you to share what happened between you and Forrest Gregg as Forrest Gregg was talking to you and some of the things he had you go through.
You're right. Well, just a quick history. Going into my senior year, I had 2 knee operations, freshman year, junior year. My senior year, man, it was my last hurrah, and I was probably in the best shape ever. We'd just come off a national championship season my junior year, which I played 7 games. So this time it wasn't 7 games into the season. It was the second time we had the football opening game in Lubbock, Texas. I go down, the defensive back put his helmet into my left thigh this time. I'd had 2 surgeries on my right. This would have been my third surgery, first one on my left. So I get back to LA. I have the surgery, and I missed the entire season. I mean, I'm literally the second time we had the football, the first game. So I missed the entire season. And you have to understand, going to USC, and when I went to USC, man, we were winning Rose Bowls, national championships, spitting out Heisman Trophy winners, All-Americans, first-round picks in the NFL. And I wanted part of that, man. I wanted to be one of those guys, and it didn't happen. So that was my 3rd knee operation in 4 years. Everyone had written me off. Before that senior year, they had projected me as a number 1 pick, top 10 pick. After that, they said, you'll be lucky to be a free agent. Well, I hadn't played in the Rose Bowl with the guys that came into school, and I wanted to play in the Rose Bowl. I knew we were going to win that year. So I rehabbed like a maniac, man. My schedule was I'd go to class, go to rehab, go back to the apartment, do some homework, and then that schedule, every day. And I was determined to get healthy from that surgery, rehab, and be ready for practice to play in that Rose Bowl, which we won the Pac-10 again. We were going to our 3rd Rose Bowl in 4 years, and I was determined to play in that game because I was going to be ready. I had to convince John Robinson that I was ready. I could have redshirted, but I was ready to move on, finish school. Wasn't interested in coming back for grad school. So he said, if you can get the okay from the doctor, you can play in the game. So I got the okay, made every practice, started the Rose Bowl, and that was the only game I played my senior year. I played the entire game. We had to drive like 80 plus yards the last time we had the football to beat Ohio State 17-16. And so that was the only game. So now let's see what happens with the draft. People were saying you won't get drafted. You might have to sign as a free agent. I just wanted a chance to go to an NFL camp, see if I could compete on that level. Well, I looked at the top 5 teams, and they're the Bengals had just hired a new head coach, Forrest Gregg. Man, I knew all about Forrest Gregg. Vince Lombardi called him the finest player he had ever coached in his last book. All pro at guard and tackle, Hall of Fame tackle, and the Bengals' new head coach. So, I get word that they're sending Forrest Gregg out to work me out, to put me through a workout to see how my leg is doing. And I'm thinking, okay, well, I got to do well in this workout. So, this is after the Rose Bowl, before the draft. So it's, January 1st, and then April 29th was the draft. So he comes out to L.A., and I get dressed. We go out to the practice field, man. He's putting me through the ringers. It's about an hour and a half, hour and 45, and he's having me do everything. Now, you have to understand, Forrest is a man. He's a Hall of Fame tackle, and he's putting me through it. So right at the end, we're getting ready to finish up the workout. And Forrest was still impressive. He was probably 40 years old at the time, 6'5", still about 240, 250. He looks over at me, and I can't do a Southern drawl, but he had that Southern drawl and had that intimidating look. He says, okay, Anthony, I'm going to be the defensive lineman. I'm going to, on the snap count, I'm just going to come up, make some moves, and I want you to react. I said, okay. So I've been working hard the entire workout. So I get in my left-handed stance. He says, he comes out. He fakes outside. He comes inside. And back at USC, we were on the cutting edge of using our hands, man. We were punching. We were doing everything with the hands. And when he faked outside and came inside, he went to kind of put his arm and grab my back. Well, when someone does that as a defensive lineman to us, they expose their chest. And I took both my hands and just, boom, punched him right in the chest. The only problem is the first thing that hit the ground was the back of his head. I mean, I hit him, and he just hit the ground, and my heart, guys, went to my feet. And I'm like, I kind of was looking down at him, and he's on the ground, and his head had just hit the ground. And I said, I am really, really sorry. And he looked up, laying on the ground, and he said, he kind of laughed. He goes, that's all right, son. And right then I knew that was a good thing. But man, guys, I tell you, when I punched him with both hands square in the chest, he just went back and whack, hit the ground. And that's a true story. And I think that might have helped me. And they, as history has it, with the 3rd pick in the entire draft, when nobody gave me, all the experts did give me a chance, the Bengals made me their 3rd pick in the 1st round. Of course, the rest is history.
Man, I just absolutely love that story. And just to let you know, we have a huge following in Mexico right now. We got a bunch of Mexico followers right now. Rodrigo, he comes in town for some of the games every now and then. So from Guadalajara. So it's really cool to see.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great.
So one more question for me, and I think we have a bunch of other questions we'll get to. We're going to play one more clip, Anthony. And Jamie, it's clip number 4.
Okay.
Not a great video, but you'll get it here.
Anthony Munoz. Anthony Munoz catches a touchdown on tackle eligible. He was in the movie right stuff. That was.
So Anthony, you had 7 touchdowns, 7 receptions in your career, 4 touchdowns. That was your first touchdown in 1984 versus the Browns. What the hell was Sam Weiss thinking throwing to Anthony Munoz?
You know what? I was thinking the same thing. You had a rookie head coach in Sam Weiss. You had a rookie quarterback in Boomer Esiason. Anderson was hurt, and that was the first week that Sam put couple big linemen in and moved me out wide with another guy. And I said, it'll never happen. It was one of those things where it's funny because you have a name for everything in football, and there's always a reason why you name it. And that was our Weeby formation. He would go like this, big straight, go Weeby. Well, it's called the Weeby formation because we be scoring when we get in that formation. And so that was the first week that he put me in an eligible position. I'm thinking, nah, he'll never call that. And of course, Sam had the hand signals to Boomer and Kenny, and every play was signaled in by hand. We didn't pay attention. We just wanted to hear from the quarterback formation, play, and snap count. Well, I had to learn the hand signal for that play just in case he called the play. And I thought, never will he call it. So 1st and goal at the 1, 7 seconds left, no timeouts. And I look over, and this rookie head coach is signaling in the boomer, we're going to call this play where a tackle is a primary receiver. And I'm thinking, this guy doesn't want to keep his job very long in the NFL. If he's throwing to the tackle that scored a touchdown and tie the game and go into overtime, and then my thought was, I better catch this, or I'm going to walk home from Cleveland. and it didn't work out how we drew it up, because we were in that closed end of Old Cleveland Municipal Stadium, and it was like ankle deep mud. I was supposed to hit that guy and just go right away to the end line, and you saw Boomer rolling out, and for a left-hander to roll out to the right, he was going to keep going, and I was going to kind of trickle out. Well, it didn't work out. When I went to hit the guy, we fell in the mud. The good thing about it, when Boomer started to roll, as you can see, the defense started to run that way, so I just stayed there. I said, if they're going that way, I'm just going to stay there. And Boomer kind of stopped, gave me a little sidearm pitch, and I made the catch. So it was unbelievable. We tie it up, and we go into overtime, and who I call, even now, I play a lot of golf with this guy, and I call him Money, and that's Jim Breachman. I knew if we gave him a chance, he would kick a field goal, and he did in overtime. But, yeah, that was one of those first ones, not believing it would happen. But when it was called, just like everything else, you got to get it done.
Yeah, it's funny. What people didn't see in that clip, and I probably should have used a different clip, was your touchdown, your spike. I mean, everybody talked about the Gronk spike, the Anthony Munoz spike. We felt it down here in Cincinnati because I was 13, 14-year-old watching that game, Anthony, and I remember that game vividly. So
it's funny you mentioned that. I was on social media a while back, and that highlight was on there, and a young person commented and said, "Oh, Munoz gave it a Gronk." And I had to reply to it. I rarely reply, but I said, "What do you mean a Gronk? Gronk gives it a Munoz now." And they said, they apologized. They said, "Excuse me, sir, you're right."
Great stories. We want to remind everybody, type your questions in for Anthony. He'll be more than gracious. We got about 8 minutes left with him. Feel free to type your questions in. But one thing we enjoy doing as part of the show, Anthony, is giving back. We've been fortunate to be a part of a lot of foundations. You have a foundation. Can you tell us and the fans about the Anthony Munoz Foundation?
Yeah, I'd love to. We're going into our 20th year coming up this next year in 2021. Mission statement is to engage the tri-state area to impact youth mentally, physically, and spiritually. We have 7 programs that, we start from elementary kids with one-on-one mentoring, middle school kids with overnight character camps, high school kids. We have a leadership seminar. We did it virtually this year. We're just running it. We usually have 85 to 90 high schools at a one-day event, 13 to 1,500 students. And then we give away anywhere from 15 to 30 scholarships, depending on our budget. So it's like I said, we're going into our 20th year. We've probably worked with 2,500 to 3,000 youth per year. It's a passion of mine. I'm there every event, every program we do. I got a great lean staff. We have a great internship program where we have anywhere from 4 to 10 local college students working with us during the year as part of their graduation requirements or what they do during their college days. We have a volunteer database of about 130. We have a great board, great corporate partners that help us do what we do. And yeah, so that's our the Anthony Munoz Foundation. You can go to munozfoundation.org, find out what we do, come be part of the team. And the way I talk about it, for 13 years, I was a member of the Cincinnati Bengals team where we had 50 to 60 guys. Now I'm a member of a really big team here in this great community, the greater Cincinnati area, which is home. We love it here, and such a giving back community and engaging community. And we're just, thrilled to be part of this community and trying to impact young people.
Well, we're grateful to give back a portion of the proceeds from the T-shirts that we currently have on sale. All that will go directly to the Anthony Munoz Foundation. And Jamie does have the link up there for fans that want to donate. We're going to go to the questions from the fans next. We do have one from our resident historian, Tom Justin, who wants to know about your first game versus Tampa Bay going against Hall of Famer Leroy Selman. Can you talk about that?
That was kind of an introduction to the NFL. That was my first regular season game, but I also faced Leroy Selman in the preseason. We played the Buccaneers in a preseason game. Of course, back then you played at least a half in the preseason, if not more. So I saw Leroy Selman. I knew all about Leroy Selman, being a big college fan, watching him at the University of Oklahoma. Now he's at Tampa Bay, and then the opening game, it was one of those welcome to the NFL, man. I started out with one of the best, and I learned quickly. So, I'm thankful that I wasn't embarrassed, but it was a battle. Leroy, got to know Leroy Selman. God bless his soul. We lost him at a young age, but just a better person than a player, and he was a great, great football player. Of course, as you mentioned, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But that rookie year, man, it was right away, earning that starting job 3 days into camp. It was let's go and get after it. And but no, that was a great experience for me, playing the best right at the beginning in the best league ever, the NFL.
What a start to go against the Hall of Famer there in your first game, as you mentioned, also in the preseason. That's one of the things we've learned, Anthony, is obviously you guys were stars on the field, but what you've done, while you were playing and after is even better, especially now through your foundation. So we enjoy hearing those stories. If you don't mind, Anthony, we're going to go to some questions from the fans. Jamie, if you want to pull those up.
Sure.
We've got a few people asking a lot of the same questions here. I'll throw up Lee Wright. Toughest defender you've ever had to block?
Well, we talked right away about Leroy Selman. He's right there in the list. Top. I could probably give you at least a dozen, but I always consistently say that probably the best all-around defensive end I ever played against, and probably saw him 6 times, was Bruce Smith. I mean, of the Buffalo Bills. Size, speed, strength, smart. The guy was just the total package. Although I could give you another 10 easily, Bruce Smith is probably the top of my list.
All right, we got Jeff Nagel. Anthony, who was your favorite teammate when you played?
Wow. That's the great thing about, playing with the Bengals and staying in Cincinnati now. I've been retired forever. Still got a lot of former teammates. Of course, 10 years of my career, I roomed with Max Montoya at camp, on the road, became really good friends. There's a bunch of guys that are still in town. I don't want to get into the guys mad at me, but Max, and I played a lot of golf with Jim Breach, and there's guys like David Fulcher and, Barney Bussey and Eric Thomas, of course, Joe Walter, Bruce Kozerski, Dave Lapham, I played next to for my first 4 years. But, there's a lot of great teammates, and that's the great thing about it. Not only did I play with them, but we became close friends. And even now, we're very, very close because we see each other a lot here in this great community.
All right.
There was a question in the chat area here, and it was a while ago, Anthony, earlier, but you can't have an interview without without us talking about your finger, Anthony Munoz. That's what they wanted to ask about. So if you could show us the beautiful.
Why? What's wrong with my finger? Your finger doesn't do that? Let's see. Oh, man. People always ask, why don't you get it fixed? Why don't you get it fixed? I say, no, first of all, it doesn't hurt. I don't need another surgery. They'd have to put pins. I wouldn't be able to do this, make a fist. It would stay out. And I said, plus I'd lose a conversation piece. People are always asking about it when I'm speaking to kids. They're always saying, oh, what? But it doesn't hurt, so that's good.
All right. Let's see here. This one's a good one. Favorite locker room story, if you have one to share.
Oh, my goodness. It has to be. So I know Monday Night Football is a reward for how well you're playing. But I loved waking up in the morning, going right to the stadium. Lineman, they put a partition where the offense is making adjustment, defense, and all of a sudden Hank Bullough was our defensive coordinator. We hear him screaming and yelling at a defensive lineman, and so once all the adjustment, heads for a second. Well, one of our young defensive linemen happened to fall asleep in the meeting at halftime, and I'm thinking, how in the heck can you fall asleep a Monday night game playing the old Houston Oilers, which was a battle all the time? But that's got to be one of the favorite locker room stories, is having a defensive lineman fall asleep at halftime during a Monday night game.
It's awesome.
I want to ask you who, but I can't do it.
We'll just hold off and say it wasn't an offensive lineman; it was a defensive lineman.
Speaking of offensive line, Anthony, obviously we see the struggles that we're going through now. We have a franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow, who we have a lot invested in. Looking at our line, and we see it across the NFL. The Bengals aren't the only team that's struggling with offensive line issues. If you look at the NFL, I guess from 30,000 feet and look down specifically at the offensive line, what do you think is the reason that we see so many weaknesses or holes? Is the defense getting that much better? Is it the scheme? What's your thought on that whole situation?
I think there's a lot of things that play into it. And one of the first things I look at the offensive schemes in college football. I mean, you have very few colleges that are still preparing these young men at offensive linemen to run block, to pass block, that are technically sound. I mean, it's almost like, fast break basketball, man. You line them up, 2-point stand, you're throwing the football everywhere. When you're running the football, it's a little, draw. So you're in a 2-point. So I think that has a lot to do with it. Now you come into the NFL and you have to know how to get in the 3-point. You don't have to pass block out of a 3-point, run block out of a 3-point. So I think that's part of it. And then just, I don't know if the time is there that, we once had a lot of time of individual where you mentioned Jim McNally, man. He was all about technique. We were technique. In my 11th year, week 12 of the season, we were working on our stance. We were working on our first step. And that had to be the way it was. And I think that's how you become a successful offensive lineman, is you have to be technique driven. And, I don't know. Again, I don't know because I'm not in the facility, but are you spending so much time on the strategy, the X's and O's, that the technical part of the game is being left behind? That's really the only one thing I can, one of the handful of things I can think about. But I think the preparation, I mean, when I was at SC coming in the NFL, we might not throw the ball a whole lot because we had Heisman Trophy running backs, Marcus Allen, Charles White. But every single day at practice, we worked on pass pro. We went one-on-one pass, and I had a coach there in college that was amazing. For my 13 years with Jim McNally, he was one of the best to ever coach the position technically, not only strategically with his mental approach, but, technically. So that's the only thing I can look at, is that that's where it's lacking. And hopefully, that will be back. But, when you're struggling as offensive line, I think I was saying that yesterday in an interview, one of the things we would do is now it's up to the coaches. If you do have some struggles with the offensive line, it's up to the offensive coaches to strategically put you in a position to be successful. That means protecting, sliding it, helping out. If someone's struggling, you don't leave them on an island. You help them out. You adjust and maybe move away from your best guy, Jonah Williams, or you move to him, or you just got to, strategy, it has to be that you're going to make that adjustment. And that's the only way I know, because we used to do that. If, which happens sometimes, and you just have to make that adjustment. So, you can't stick with everything you're doing the same way. You got to be, make adjustments. We talked about adjustments. And one of the things I chuckle about is people say, okay, what type of halftime adjustments does this coach make? Now, we make adjustments after the first drive, after the first quarter, because you're constantly having to make adjustments. And it's who makes the best adjustments, not only at halftime, but first quarter, second quarter, and fourth quarter.
Damn, Anthony. I was going to say Coach Anthony is what I just wanted to say. Coach. So, Anthony, look, we really appreciate your time. And it's awesome to have not just a Hall of Fame offensive lineman on the show, great foundation, great human being, a man of faith, which also is awesome. Every show, we always do some sort of Bengals memorabilia, and I got one for our next guest too. Willie Anderson's getting ready to come on here in a minute, Anthony.
Right.
The two best offensive linemen in Bengal history are on the show. I'm just goosebumps even talking about it. But I have your Hall of Fame game day program from Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
The game that you were inducted to the Hall of Fame. I think that was in '98, maybe. I think late '90s when you were inducted into the Hall of Fame.
'98. You're right. '98.
Yes, sir. And Anthony, I just want to let you know that figurine of you on your upper left-hand shoulder. Somebody outbid me on eBay on that last week, and I'm not real happy about it. So I'm looking for that thing. So
well, you got that one. If you notice the other one I got is That one's 78 Bengals, and the other one's 77 USC.
I see that.
They also put a little mustache on it too, so I've had that forever.
Well, Anthony, check social media. I'm gonna get my afro back on, and we're gonna do a side by side.
I love it. I can.
Thanks again,
I
Anthony.
keep my hair short. I can still grow it long, but it's not that thick anymore. All right, man. Hey guys, thanks for having me. Have fun.
Appreciate
with
it. Thank you, Anthony.
There too.
Awesome.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Hey, that was fun.
I want like 2 hours with Willie and 2 hours with Anthony, man. We could go all night talking about this stuff. This is good stuff.
Let's not make him nervous before we bring him on. We're not going to keep him for 2 hours.
He's signing off now. Well, let's go ahead and bring on. So our next guest that we have on here today is Willie Anderson, and if he's in the waiting room, let's go ahead and bring him on. What's going on, big dog?
How you doing, guys?
Good. Willie. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks
Good,
for coming
man.
on, man. We appreciate it. Sorry, we're just a few minutes late for you, man. Thanks for hanging around waiting for us, man.
Man, no problem at all. I just moved into my house, man. So my office light right now is crazy right now. It's acting up.
We
My
can see you.
headphones-
Good.
I have the wrong headphones. Everything's bad. So
Hey, at least you have internet. That's good. That's
exactly.
Well, so just a quick introduction, Willie. We have got right now the chat area going out of control on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Tons of folks on for our 25th episode here. But everybody, just real quick, 1996 first-round draft pick out of Auburn, four-time Pro Bowler, three-time first-teamer, one-time second-team All-Pro, played for the Bengals from 96 to 2007. Unfortunately, had to go to the Ratbirds in 2008. Did a good job with the Ravens. Should be in the damn Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that here in a minute. And Willie, earlier than year, we did a top 16 of the best Bengal players in history, and we did our own Ring of Honor that we inducted Bengal players into the Ring of Honor, and you wound up being number 5 on our Ring of Honor, Willie. So you're in a Ring of Honor. It's not in Paul Brown Stadium yet, but we got you ready to go when they start.
Hopefully soon. I appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
Yep. And what's crazy, man, the statistics on this, Willie, you probably know this better than me. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you know this stuff like the back of your hand. You only surrendered 16 sacks in 13 NFL seasons. You didn't give up one sack from between 1999 season and 2001 season. Is that right?
Yeah. So I thought it was 13, right? So about 2 years ago, Travis Bimmer, the Bengals production guy, video guy, he sent me all my games on a hard drive, right? So I forgot about a sack. My first start was the Dave Schuler game that he got fired, right? So I forgot I gave a sack up that game right there in my rookie year. So then I went and found like one or two more. So it ended up being, I counted all the games, it was 16. And Paul Alexander, our former O-line coach, he had that stat back when we played from 99 to 01. Didn't give up any sacks. And I was trying to use that for my negotiations with Katie. So because I hadn't made a Pro Bowl then, I was like, it was like, well, you haven't made a Pro Bowl yet, and these other guys have Pro Bowl bids. I'm like, well, none of these damn guys have not had seasons yet, but they've gone 3 seasons in a row with no sacks. So I was telling Katie that. Very good honor, man, but unfortunately we were not winning during those years. But I still say it was harder to not give up sacks when you're behind, as you guys see right now what the guys are going through this year. When you're behind, these guys are just teeing off and coming at you, man, full force.
Yep. Yeah, you ain't lying. So let's start in your college days, Willie. So I went back and watched an old Auburn game. It was the Iron Bowl, 1995. You guys won that game 31-27 over Alabama. Now, you played left tackle, and they had you a right tackle in that game as well. Is that accurate?
Man, we ran a damn system where we flip-flop sides, right? So at any time I could be to the boundary. And it was ridiculous. I hated that because it never gave me a chance to really focus on one side in college, because at any given time I could be playing left tackle according to the field, to the boundary. I could be right tackle anytime. So I tell my coaches later on, years later, they really messed me up because I can never really focus on playing one position, left or right. So you're right, we did flip-flop sides throughout the course of the games.
Yeah, I saw that was just an outstanding game, Willie, and I didn't get a bunch of good clips off of it, but talk about that rivalry a little bit, man. That's one of my favorite football rivalries right there in college.
Yeah, so I always try to convince people in Ohio that the Iron Bowl is way more impactful than the Michigan and Ohio State game. And I say that only because we live in the same state. You know what I mean? And they call it a rivalry that families are divided upon. You know what I mean? Some things have gotten violent over the years, unfortunately. People are mad this team lost, but it's so crazy living in the state of Alabama. Like I live in Georgia and I live in Atlanta, and Auburn is a big recruiting ground. Georgia's a big recruiting ground for Auburn, and I tell the Auburn guys like Takeo Spikes and the guys who played at Auburn but are from Georgia, I say, guys, you guys have no clue what it's like to be from Alabama and be involved in this game. My senior year in high school, to tell you a quick story. Senior in high school, I was the #1 player in Alabama. I was the first lineman to win 6A Player of the Year in Alabama, and the second person was Andre Smith, years after me. So I won 6A Player of the Year as offensive lineman. I was #1 lineman in the country. Auburn was on probation. They were headed to probation. Alabama had just won the national championship in '92 under Gene Stallings and those guys. John Copeland was on that team, Sam Shade, those guys. So very dominant team. And I ended up picking Auburn. And I picked Auburn because at the time, one, I grew up as a diehard Bama fan. You know, if you're from Mobile, Alabama, you cheer for Alabama. It's diehard down there. So with me, I decided as the #1 lineman in the country, #1 player in the state, I picked Alabama. I picked Auburn. Things went crazy. On my recruiting visit, I told the story before. It's been documented. I just haven't told it in years before. So on my recruiting visit was the weekend of the national championship celebration. I go there. My future teammate, Jesse McCovery, who's #1 tight end in the country, came to Auburn with me. Damian Craig became my quarterback at Auburn years later. So we all on a recruiting visit. And, Gene Stallings was an older coach, great man, great respected man. He got my name wrong. He called me Jesse and called Jesse Willie. And I said, oh, hell no, man. This dude don't even know who we are. And I said, nah, man, I'm not going here. I was pissed off. So on the recruiting trip, I had already secretly committed to Auburn. It was crazy. But I told Auburn, you guys better not say anything. I'm still going to go to Alabama. And, so it was like crazy. So there was no social media. So no word got out from rivals. 27th. There was no leaks. I get there and my stepdad and my mom, we are in a meeting with Gene Stallings and Coach Dubose, who was a D-line coach who later became the head coach years later at Alabama. He called me into his room. He said, Willie, come in the room for a second. Let Coach Stallings talk to your mom and stepdad. I said, all right. I go into his room. He closed the door. Now, I don't know if I can curse on here or not, but he said, what the fuck I hear about you saying you were committed to Auburn? I said, what? I started stuttering and going all crazy. He said, I know damn well you committed to him. I know for a fact you committed to him. I said, Coach. He said, what the hell they didn't paid you? What they paid you? I'm calm with the cucumber. I'm cool with the cucumber. I said, Coach, what are you talking about? I said, Coach, I had not made a decision yet. He said, I know damn well you have. Now, this story got him in trouble several months later. Because I told the same story on my signing day. I told the same story, haphazardly to the local reporter in Mobile. He said, what are some of the ups and downs about recruiting? I told him all the good stuff, He said, what about the bad stuff? He was writing in his hand. I said, well, one thing is, people saying I got paid to go to Auburn. And his hand stopped writing. And he looked up. Now, at 17 years old, I didn't know I should have not said that because it caused a storm, bro. I don't want to say what it caused a storm. And because nobody could believe that, why would you go to Auburn over Alabama?
Jamie, did we lose him there?
No.
Nope, we're good.
Still good?
Yep, we're good.
So people was wondering, like, why in the hell he chose Auburn over Alabama? And it wasn't because I didn't get a damn thing to go to Auburn. Now, I'm not saying I didn't wish I got anything, but I didn't get a damn thing. I chose Auburn because I felt like Terry Bowden's offense, was a pass blocking league. And I had a couple of buddies go to Alabama, and all Bama did was run the football and play defense. Now, that led to national championships, of course. But for me, at 17, I was thinking about, trying to be next Anthony Munoz because I said, man, in the NFL, these guys are getting into the shotgun. This 93 in high school, so these guys are still running. We're still running I formations and running the football 35 times a game. But the NFL back then was a running league, but we heard that there was going to be a new innovation called a shotgun. and these guys are going to teach you passes. And Terry Bowden came from a passing offense. His dad had a dynamic offense, and I chose Bama basically because I thought their offense was going to prepare me better for the NFL.
Oh,
but,
man.
But that story was crazy, man. It caused if the internet was alive, I'm sure I probably would have got death threats and all because it was bad, bro. I'm telling you, it was bad.
Oh, that's crazy. All right, so another thing, real quick, Willie. I was reading, and I've heard this before, but is this true? Like your rookie season, they had you bench press 675 pounds.
If Wikipedia says it, it's true.
See, it's not true.
How do you know that? How do you know it's not true?
You put it in there, didn't you?
I don't. What do you mean? I told the story. I told the story. No, I saw that one day. I said, "Damn, okay." And all the kids asked me, I said, "Hey, if Wikipedia is in there, if it says it, it's true." It's true.
Enough said. All right, Willie, we got a quick video clip here. It's gonna tie into a bunch of different questions here. It's maybe a minute and a half long, I think, but we want you to watch this video clip, and we're going to talk about it after it's done. Go ahead and play that, Jamie. It's clip 1.
To the 46 and count. If we could get 40 yards somehow, that would be the all-time record breaker Walter Payton's. Got enough field. Pounds for a couple here. Yards. When the Oilers have everybody at the line of scrimmage, they don't want him to break it. He just did. Corey Dillon. Anthony Dorsett made the tackle. Hard tonight. And the people that have come to support these Bengals tonight had a chance to see history. The Oilers couldn't have put more people at the line of scrimmage. The offensive line was going to help him as much as they could. Look at the surge on the offensive line. They're just blocking everybody and anybody. You got tight ends wiping off, blocking 2 people. And Corey Dillon knows he has just placed himself in the NFL record book.
So Willie, I was at that game with some buddies, and I remember being a pretty chilly night. But I mean, what's crazy about that? I mean, you were a road grader run blocker, man. You were on that line, and you helped Corey Dillon break Jim Brown's rookie season record. His rushing record that he broke for Walter Payton's 275 yards. You helped Rudy Johnson set a single season rushing mark that still stands today. And what's crazy about some of these videos I watched, Willie, is that, I mean, these guys knew you were going to run it. They were stacking the box. They couldn't stop you guys. So what kind of satisfaction as an offensive lineman when you got them stacking the box and you're just running the ball play after play after play, doing whatever you guys want? Eddie George played for the Oilers that game. I think he had 5 yards. Man, tell me about that game and about these other games where they knew you were running and you just did what you had to do to get yards.
Well, that was my that was 97. My rookie my second year, Corey's rookie year. What was that?
You're getting a phone call.
Wow.
Hold on, let him decline the call.
That's crazy right there.
That's all right.
That was Corey's second year. The funny thing about that, Corey, as you guys know, Corey wasn't even the first starting running back that year. It was Conjana Carter. It took us several games it took the coaches several games to realize that Corey was a monster. We all knew it in practice. We saw it in practice. But that game was significant because that's probably the last time we rushed for that many yards against Houston, because the next 4 or 5 years, they made it hell to run the ball. They actually changed their defense up and started running the 46 defense against us, which basically, dared us to pass the ball. Imagine the yards Corey would have had if he played with a significant passing game. That year was special because we had Boomer throwing the ball, and Boomer had a great passing game. I don't think Jeff Blake played that much with Corey, I don't think. But Boomer played a lot with him in his second year. But for Corey, next several years, we didn't have the dynamic passing game that Rudy eventually had with Carson. So those rushing games were great for us because they came far in between because teams started loading the box and Corey had to learn to run against a 9-man line. We as linemen had to learn how to block 8 guys. And the coach tells Corey, yo, the night guy, that's your guy, Corey. And Corey would just either give the guy a juke fake or just he'd go punish him and make his runs. But those Corey years, we never really had the room. And I played for the Bengals so long that I remember playing with different quarterbacks and not having a passing game and struggling in the running game and sitting in the meeting room like, damn, we're facing a 9-man box. Our receivers are one-on-one.
Yeah.
And, so years later, fast forward to Carson and Chad and TJ and Rudy and those guys, Chad wish he had those one-on-one situations. You know what I mean? So they was cover 2 in Chad, and they opened the running game for us with Rudy. And, your great quarterbacks like with Blake and Boomer and Carson and John Kitten, those guys tell you, say, look, we got to have a running game to get these guys out of this cover 2 that they're doubling, Carl Pickens or Chad or whoever it may be, because that cover 2 is designed to put a guy over the top. So you got to be able to run the football then. And in those days, that's what we did.
Man, I tell you, I haven't missed a game since the early 90s, Willie, and believe me, brother, I was there with you watching all that stuff. The receivers couldn't beat on one-on-one things. You guys were always running the ball. But I was going to play another video clip, but I'm going to talk about it instead of playing it, Jamie. But your rookie year, Willie, in 1996, the first half of the year, Dave Shula was the coach, and I think Bruce Kosla took over in week 9.
Yeah.
And in week 9, you guys came out against the Jags and won that first game that Kosla coached that year and won your second game of the year there. But it was you, Pickens, Scott, Blake. But you told a story, Willie, that I've heard multiple times over different interviews that you've done about how Jeff Blake was responsible for the building of Paul Brown Stadium and the Bengals still remaining in Cincinnati. So could you share that story with our viewers?
So, yes, of course. So I got there, as you know, in 96. I think Blake had Blake started. So Blake's story was 94. He came off the bench for Klingler, right? And 95 was his first full season. So during those 2 years, the story is told to me, the Bengals were heavily into negotiations with the city of Cincinnati for Paul Brown Stadium. When I got there, I literally thought that we were going to be moving to Baltimore. That's all we kept hearing as a team. Like, damn, we're going to Baltimore? Like, what's in Baltimore? And so, but Troy Blackburn, those guys, they used Jeff Blake's success. He was the presentation they gave to the city. They presented Jeff Blake's success and this newfound offense, how exciting the city was, and every owner back then, we all found out that these owners make so much money off these stadiums. So I think the Bengals were threatening to either leave or had to leave or whatever. But the city, off Jeff Blake's success, off the whole shaking Blake success, they presented a presentation to the city of Jeff Blake. He's gonna be the future. This deep long ball he's throwing, how excited things were. And I think that 95 season they went like 7-9, I think, before I got there. And so that Jeff season, that Pro Bowl season, that dynamic season that he and Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott, those guys had, that was a catalyst of the city agreeing to the stadium to be built. So I'm always saying that Jeff Blake should get a lot more credit than he gets a lot of time, because that one fact right there, that stadium probably would not have been built if it wasn't for Jeff Blake's success.
Yeah, Willie, I mean, you're right, man. He was on all the marketing material in that mid-90s when you were going through that levy trying to get that stadium tax pass, that half-cent stadium tax pass. He was on all the marketing material. Then Shake and Blake hit, man. The 90s, as you know, Willie, I mean, from the early 90s to the late 90s, it was awful time. And thank God for you and Jeff Blake and Carl Pickens and Darnay Scott. Corey Dillon later in the 90s. It was a rough stretch there in the 90s. So there was definitely some excitement on that. But I remember, you talking about, him getting that stadium funded. But Willie, I got a picture here that says, "You built the stadium, brother." Look at that.
I still have that.
Look at Big Willie. You got
who's all on that? I think the only person that's not on the group text I started is Artrell. Everybody's on the group text. I have like 3 Bengals group texts, and it's funny because I played there so long, I'm able to have different era of guys. So I wanted Carl Pickens to talk to TJ because they never met before. So the guys in the 2000s and the 03 when stuff started really happening good for the Bengals, they weren't around for those early 90s years. Corey and I were. I think Dunne's on one of the group takes too. David Dunn, all these guys, Achilles, Taquio, Brian Simmons. Who else we got? Rudy's on there because I have a couple different ones on there. So
that's funny. So on this picture, you got Brian Simmons, yourself, you got Corey Dillon, you got Taquio.
Yes.
How in the hell Achilles Smith is on there? I don't know. And then Altrell Hawkins.
Achilles is supposed to be the new architect, man. James just did. If you guys want to hear some crazy talk, if you ever get Achilles in one of these podcasts, man, it's gonna be crazy.
Oh man,
it'll be crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure. I heard we were working with his when he was setting up a foundation when he got drafted here. But see, Willie actually was pouring the foundation that day, so he did build the stadium. Actually built that stadium.
Oh, no doubt.
Almost named it Willie Anderson Stadium instead of Paul Brown Stadium. But
no doubt.
Hey, so Will, I got one more question here before we throw it to our viewers right now. So it's so awesome to see you on all your social media platforms, buddy. You're fun to follow. We always go to your Instagram live feeds when you do those. And, last night, Carlos Dunlap had his feed going on and everybody was like watching. What's he going to say about the team? What's he going to say? And I don't want to get into a whole lot of detail, but let's have some fun with this, Willie. Your honest opinion. If social media was around back when you played early days for the Bengals, give us the top two. What would be the most fun follows? I got my two picked out. Who would have been the maybe, I don't know, the more fun or maybe controversial Twitter or Facebook or Instagram post that you could think if you had it back then?
You mean who would go to jail?
who would do some crazy stuff on social media?
Well, obviously it benefited Chad, tremendously when Twitter started in 2009. He was still playing. I always say I wish I'd have kept playing a couple more years during the social media era because it probably helped out a lot of guys. But as far as fun guys, Chad definitely is the one from the later years. I think people don't know how funny Carl Pickens was. Like, to me, Carl Pickens was the funniest guy I've ever played with, and he should have been a comedian because his jokes were like, Carl can get on the bus, and the best thing, we used to beg him to grab the mic, and man, he would tell he would just make up stories about guys. He used to kill all the coaches. It used to be so damn funny, man. Like Carl is hilarious. The things he say and would do. So I definitely think Carl would have been a guy that people think Carl's just so mean, but he's really not. That's a persona he put on, and he's one of the great guys that I always say gets lost also in Bengals lore. In my opinion, he gets lost.
Yep. So my other one would have been, my number one was Carl Pickens. Chad was an easy one for me too. But I would have loved seeing Corey Dillon with Twitter back in the day.
Man, Corey don't like being on the phone right now. Me getting Corey in these group texts. He loves him, by the way. But Corey is still Corey. He's still Corey. And it's fun to hear these guys. I started the group text, I think, late last year with everybody. And then guys started adding on guys. And so now, I won't say who, but we got a lot of guys who are strong in politics and they blow our phones up all damn night. You getting texts, all damn night about some guy. So it's fun, man. Guys stay in touch. We laugh about Bengal stuff. We talk about current events. Obviously we all watch the team right now, but those text messages are hilarious. But Carl Pickens would have definitely been my top guy to be on.
That was my number one. That was my number one.
Yes.
Do you have a couple more minutes, Willie, for some fan questions?
I'm good, man.
Okay.
If you guys follow my live, I usually go two hours on my live. So
okay,
I'm a talker, man. I'm good.
Before we go to
we got a lot of questions in the
let's go. I'm good. I'll tell you when I'm tired.
Well, before we go to the fan questions, Willie, can you talk about a lot of the work you're doing with these younger kids, especially linemen, training and all that? Can you talk about that and the kids you're involved with and what you're doing with them?
Yeah, so I started my Willie Anderson Lineman Academy about 2015. It was my son's senior year in high school. My son was a receiver. He's at Georgia Tech right now, finishing up. But I started the academy because I saw so many people would beg me to help their sons. I'm like, man, I don't have time because my son is so far behind in sports that I had to be the dad that followed my son around, because when I retired, I pretty much gave my life to my sons. If you want to play football, basketball, I was going to be the dad that followed him around and got him to camps and training, anything he wanted to do. So I didn't really have time to do it, but I saw throughout his high school career how underdeveloped the linemen were. Parents, these moms and dads had no idea how to get their sons better. And the majority of people in the training world were all doing pro guys. And I probably could be a lot more popular right now if I flooded my business with pro linemen. It's very easy. I probably make a ton more money doing it. But my passion was to help kids and to help big kids, because I was a big kid forever. I mean, I was 14 years old wearing a size 18 shoe. You know what I mean? I was a big guy all my life. So I understand the things these kids go through. And fortunately for me, I had great coaching from high school, Coach Dearman, Roger Dearman, to college coach Rick Trickett. And then the pros, I had one O-line coach, well, two O-line coaches. I had one O-line coach, to Paul Alexander, for 12 years. And then I had John Masco my last year with the Ravens. So I got really fond of great teaching. And that's what I want to do with my academy. Like I said, I still train pros, but my main focus is high school kids. And the last 5 years, man, have been great. I've had kids, who won't play a down on college football. Their parents just want them to be better linemen or be protected or learn the game, or for some kids even make the team. Because if you can train a kid to, understand his body, understand the position and how to move, because most kids these days are not playing two or more sports the way we did growing up. So I was a big guy who could move. And a lot of these times these kids playing one sport, it hinders them with their movement. So in my training, I add my boy, Coach Murphy, who's a sports performance coach. We teach the guys how to move their bodies and be better athletes. So from the kids who are not playing no college football to a guy like Paris Johnson, who was #1 guy in the country last year out of Cincinnati. I had PJ Paris since he was like 9th grade. Got kids like Paul DiCio at Clemson, left guard at Clemson, and got Chris Mars at Texas A&M. Those guys were my All-Americans last year. I've known those kids since 8th and 9th grade. And so that gives me fulfillment of doing that. We also have a recruiting service with the kids that for some of our kids who can't pay for the recruiting service, we do it pro bono and work with the kids. And basically, it's us getting their film out, and we're marketing these kids to the schools, because, as you know, offensive linemen, even at the pro level, it's hard to scout and know who's going to hit home. Imagine these college coaches trying to figure out which kid to give a scholarship to, and some kid is in the woods down in Mississippi, can't get his film out because he can't get to any camps, or coaches not going down there. Our service is a real big thing for the coaches right now, because our database is extensive, and we help so many kids get into college and get offers. That, to me, that's a big enjoyment for myself too, of kids getting an offer that had no offers, and all of a sudden now he blows up because of the work that we're doing here at the academy.
As a Syracuse fan, send some O-linemen to Syracuse, please. Gosh, we need about 7 of them. But one name you mentioned, Willie, was Paul Alexander, who's kind of a polarizing name. People either love him or hate him when you mention that name for Cincinnati fans. Tell us about him as your coach for all those years.
Well, Paul and I grew up together. My first year in the league was Paul's second year coaching O-line, I think. He was a tight ends coach at the Jets when Bruce brought him over with him. Paul and I developed a lot of the techniques that you guys saw us perfecting later on in my career. We developed those late 90s. In particular, I was playing left tackle at first my rookie year. Well, I came to the Bengals to be, I don't know, they had Melvin Tootin already, a Syracuse guy. The great Joe Walters was playing right tackle. Joe took me in and showed me the ropes. I give a lot of my early career results to Joe Walters, because he taught me so much stuff when he could have easily been mad the Bengals drafting a first-round pick to kind of put him to the side. But Joe and I ended up starting because, Tootin had some issues. I ended up going to left tackle and played really good at left tackle my rookie year. But in the offseason, Paul just told me this 2 years ago when I was at the Dallas Cowboys working with him. I said, man, why do you guys move me from left tackle to right tackle? I said, that probably cost me some Hall of Fame votes and some Pro Bowls, all that stuff. He said, man, it was Bruce's idea. And so Bruce was because back then your bigger guys play over the right side, and the league was a running league. But now I played at 340, so we didn't have any tackles who can face the ends that were on the left defensive end. And you know, if you see a lot of our running clips, you know, Corey was a left-hand ball runner who loves to cut back to his right. You know, so me playing right tackle, Paul and I developed those techniques early on that we both grew together. You know, a lot of things that Paul teach right now, he and I both kind of learned in the 90s. And because I played with him so long, he allowed me to learn how to teach guys. So when new guys would come in, he would allow me to get one rookie, a guy that no one think would make the team, and it'd be my job to make sure that guy make the team. And so I would find one rookie every year that I know that was on the bubble of making the team, and I would teach that guy. And so Paul allowed me to be a teacher, the same way he did with Andrew Whitworth. You know, usually, you know, because Paul made a statement to me years ago. He said, "Man, you're gonna be a horrible teacher." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because usually great players are horrible teachers." And that probably would have happened if I didn't have my son. My son taught me patience, taught me to look at things that guys can't always do it as good as I can do it. So in retrospect, Paul's words led me to being, you know, what I think I'm a great teacher. I think I am, because I love to teach. I love to help guys figure out how to defend themselves and how to block guys and attack guys from different angles. And Paul and I both learned it together.
Yeah, Willie, you know, it's funny you said that. I've heard that saying before, great players don't necessarily make great coaches, but I've seen dozens and dozens of your video clips that you post and on YouTube that you have, your teaching and your mannerisms with the kids. Dude, you got it, brother. You know what you're doing out there, and you can tell the kids absorb what you're teaching them too. So let's go to the chat area here. I know we have just a couple more minutes, Willie, if that's okay. We got a bunch of questions.
I'm good, man. You guys got a bunch of time. I'm good.
Good. So this is actually a good segue into a question a lot of people are asking in the chat. We'll throw up Jungle Joe's. Would you ever consider being an O-line coach or advisor for the Bengals if they asked you?
You know, obviously on Twitter, that question is ringing out crazy on Twitter, and I never answered it on Twitter because
sorry,
I've gotten in trouble over the years on Twitter with the Bengals, and I always make the joke. I say, hey, I don't want to answer. I don't want to say anything that's gonna get me locked out of the stadium, or if Mike Brown decides to put up a Hall of Fame wall. I get left out, but it's not a bad question. But I obviously give respect to the coaches there now, you know, because I mean I wouldn't want to be a coach and hearing ex-players constantly dogging me out, saying the same. Because like Anthony said earlier, we're not in the room, so we don't really know what's being taught. But I think the position that needs to be happening in the NFL is there are two O-line coaches. The one O-line coach, he does his job, he's stressed out. The second most stressed out person on the team is the assistant O-line coach. I definitely don't want to be that guy. Because that guy does no football coaching. None. He's a runner. All he's doing is paperwork, running. He's so stressed out. And he does a little bit of teaching. So in Dallas, when Paul had me come down there for the Cowboys flew me down there for a mini camp, they flew me at the training camp to Oxnard. There were three of us. And it was Paul, Mark Colombo, and myself. And we all had three of us had different jobs every day to work with guys. And I told Paul, I said, see, this is what I was trying to tell you guys in Cincinnati. You guys need a third guy who works only on technique. Because there's not enough time. Trust me, man. If you ever seen the offensive line coaches in training camp, bro, they're stressed out. They can't do nothing. I mean, these guys they meet all damn day to run plays, to work on plays they never use in the damn game. That's what I hate about coaching, man. They sit in these rooms all day and talk about plays that they never want to run. But technique is the least amount of thing they have time to do. When I was in Cleveland with Hugh Jackson, he said, well, he asked me a question, what do you think we need? I said, you got to need a third guy because the O-line coaches don't have time. Like the teaching and technique goes out of the window once training camp is over with. It does, because I mean, these guys, the assistant O-line coach, I've seen Bob Sarace, who's not a head coach at Princeton. I've seen Bob Sarace, we're playing the freaking Ravens or Pittsburgh Steelers. We're in Baltimore on a Saturday night, and Bob Sarace and all the assistant coaches are breaking down film for next week's game. That's insane. Like, I'm like, they're in the hotel in some private room breaking down film. We got a game tomorrow in a couple hours. They're breaking down film for next week. That's why all these guys are so damn stressed out and don't see their families. But the offensive line position specifically needs a third guy. And I would definitely be happy to do that with any NFL team. Cool. I've been saying it for years now.
That's cool.
So I don't want anyone's job. I'm not saying I don't want to be. I want to teach technique because guys need time to work on technique. And every NFL team I've been with, the players have, as an intern, coaching, whatever, consultant, all the players love the position. The players want that. But the problem is most owners don't know. Most owners or head coaches don't know a damn thing about offensive line play. They leave it up to the offensive line coach they hire. And sometimes those coaches are going to say, hell no, I don't need Willie Anderson in here, Anthony Munoz in here, looking over my back, because they think some kind of way it demeans their job, which it don't. It only enhances your job. And if a third guy came in, I'll be teaching the techniques that you want taught. Yeah. So we all be on the same page with technique.
All right, here's a great one from Will B. What current Bengal excites you the most for the future?
Obviously, Burrow, I think is going to be a hell of a guy. The center, is it Hopkins? Trey Hopkins?
Trey Hopkins, yep.
Trey's putting together, 2 back-to-back really good seasons. I think he surprised everyone last year, what he did last year. I said earlier on my Twitter page, week 1 or 2, the guy Bates, the safety Bates, is going to be really good. And, he's continuing to make plays week after week.
Yeah,
just all the young guys, man. Like even with Jonah, you got to get Jonah some time. Like he's basically going through his rookie season. The light didn't click on for me until about 98. 97, 98. The light clicked on. 97, my second year, my confidence grew. By 98, my third season, I felt I got everything really down. My fourth season, I was really down. That's when I started 3 straight years, no sacks. So all those young guys, man, I'm looking forward to seeing those guys just to continue to develop and not lose confidence and hope throughout the losing, because the losing can wear on you. I mean, I lost a lot of damn games. And like I said, I played tackle for the Bengals. All the Bengals tackles, we always said we had the hardest jobs in the league because we're one-on-one pass blocking from behind damn, half a damn game.
So we asked this question to Anthony, but I kind of feel like you might have a good answer for this one too. Do you have a best locker room story you can share with us?
One you can share.
Like one to share. All the best ones, the ones I can't share, the ones I said I debated about put in a book one day. I said, nah, I can't put that in a book. we can all sworn to a secrecy on a lot of them. It's been just a hint at things. There have been crazy brawl fights. I've seen fights that lasted from the front of the locker room to the bathroom to it carried on to the meeting room. And there were linemen. There were 3 tight ends fighting 1 D lineman with 1 older lineman jumping into the fight who was trying to break the fight up, trying to be an older guy, break the fight up. He ended up fighting the guy. just madness. But it's so many stories. I can't name one. Anthony had some good guys in his locker room. So the stories are better. We had some wild, crazy guys my time. Some wild, crazy guys. So the stories, they wouldn't be great if I can't name the names. Put it like that.
It's all good. So talk about, I remember we posted something, it was 3 Bengal players from the 70s, afro, big bell bottoms, just pimped out, man. And you wanted to use that because you said something about, you guys used to call Corey Dillon something. You had a nickname for him?
It was Superfly, man. Corey wasn't playing, man, with meat coats on and like, man, what are you like? You Superfly from the pimp from the 70s? Like, what are you doing? But nah, guys, a funny story. Here's a funny story. So my rookie year, I think the Bengals, you guys better know better than that. I think I was the Bengals first round pick as a lineman in like 7 or 8 years, I think. So all those guys were, I think Joe Walton was like a 12th round pick. who played himself into a 13-year career. And, I think it was Anthony, the first round pick, and I think some guy maybe in the mid-'80s, early '80s after Anthony. There was me. So I came into a room where there were no first round pick linemen. Like guys were, really fighting for their money, and you guys know the story. So I came as the first round pick. I got the suits. I'm getting manicures. I got a Mercedes and a Suburban. But I knew for some reason told me, he said, man, don't bring that Mercedes to Cincinnati. And I said, damn, okay, don't bring it, because I said I'm gonna just drive a truck, because all these guys are late round picks and hardcore guys, and like they don't want to see some rookie driving a damn Mercedes first day. So I drove my Suburban around, but Carl Pickens had some friends in Atlanta, and Pick said, man, Willie, because the money guys on the teams were Carl Pickens, Blake, Big Daddy, Kajana, and I think John Copeland. Those were the 5 money guys back then. So I hit my Mercedes for like weeks, like months. I wouldn't even bring it up to Cincinnati. And because Pick had the same Mercedes, and he had heard through the grapevine that the rookie lineman had the same kind of Mercedes that Pick had. And Pick kept saying, man, I know for a fact you got the Mercedes to Pick. No, I don't. Man, I drive a truck. I'm a lineman. But I got on the plane one day in an all red Suge Knight suit. And boy, Joe Walters and the linemen, they destroyed me. I thought for sure I was so clean. I had some gaiters on, all red suit on. I was Suge Knight. They roasted me. By the end of the flight, I had the jacket balled up in my hand. I just right here. All those guys were jeans and a coat guy. And I always say, man, when I get older, I'm gonna be a really good player. I'm gonna dress how I want to dress. And as then the team changed, the league changed, and you see linemen now dressed in, they dress in skinny jeans, and they're more fashionable now than the skill guys are. So
Willie, man, that's awesome. So I just want to tell you, we'll close with this, man. It means a lot you coming on, Willie. This is a very special episode we had today with you and Anthony, and we love you, man. You're one of the, on social media, I mean, there's a lot of Bengal players on, but man, you're one of the top 2 or 3 most favorite Bengal fans right now in the Bengal community. But I'm going to tell you right now, when
there's still I tweeted today, there's still Bengal fans that are surprised I'm on social media. So make sure you tell these guys what my social media is.
Yeah. Please. So you're on Instagram and Twitter is where I follow you mostly, but you're on Facebook as well.
Facebook, my name, you can find my name, but on Instagram and Twitter, the same name, Big Willie 7179.
Yep. It's a fun follow, man. It's a fun follow. But I'm going to tell you right now, we tailgate with a Bengal bus. When you're inducted into the Hall of Fame up in Canton, we're going to load that damn bus up, Willie. We will be up there for you.
Man, I appreciate it, man. And I really tell people this, man. So I wish the Bengals would give you guys, I'm hoping we're going to give you guys a winner real soon, because no other fan base, this is damn true, no other fan base in the world deserves it more than you guys, because you guys have been faithful so long. Like I say, I played in the 90s, and the 90s were dreadful. Even though we came in 96, 97, we had 2 okay seasons. But from 98 to about 2002, it was awful. But, when Marvin got there in 03, you guys stuck with us, man, stuck with me, because I was one of the guys that stayed there from that time and remember those days of, us just putting out bad performance. I was so happy in 05 when it all came together. And like we all were happy because of the fans stuck with us. And no one deserves a winner more than you guys, the Bengals fans.
Man, Willie, we appreciate it, brother. You mean a lot. You're loved by the Bengals community, man. We thank you for everything, and it means a lot you coming on today with us, bud.
Thank you, guys.
See you, big dog.
Really appreciate it.
No problem.
Awesome. What an epic night. How else do you describe that?
Well, you know what? I think we're going to make someone's night to end this 25th, not 25th anniversary, 25th episode. Do you want to explain that?
So don't bring her on yet. So today we are announcing a week ago we put up that we were giving away 2 Bengal tickets to the game this week against the city up north and a free parking pass. Okay. So it's very hard. You had to be a follower on Twitter and a retweet, or you had to be a follow us on Facebook and do a share on Facebook. So last time we did something, I think a winner came from Twitter. This time we flipped the coin. Facebook was tails. It landed on tails. And a Facebook follower won. So in order for us to determine how do we pick off Facebook all the thousands of people that are following us and people that shared that post, what we decided to do was take the 25th share off the original post when we make the announcement for our 25th episode to commemorate our 25th episode. And that 25th person who shared that post was Alexis McKinney. And I think she might be sleeping now. I think she's been on the show the whole time in the waiting room. Alexis, are you there?
I'm here.
So congratulations. So you were down in Georgia, and you're going to make the trip in town this weekend with these tickets, right?
Yeah, me and my best friend's leaving Saturday. We'll go to the game and drive back Sunday night because I'm a pediatric nurse. I'll go to work on Monday.
Hey, congratulations. So the accent we're hearing, right? So you're from Kentucky, Corbin, Kentucky, right?
Yep.
Right. That's Corbin Stearns. My family came from that area. But Alexis, I sent her a message on Facebook after we kind of went through the process and picking out who the winner was. And I sent her a message. Hey, I saw that she lived in Georgia. Said, if by chance you won tickets today, would you be able to make it in town Sunday? And she's like, I would drive 6 hours. Absolutely. To come in town for the game. So Alexis, so you got a best friend you're coming in town with? So what's the plans for the weekend now? You got them made yet?
So I guess we're going to leave out Saturday evening, and then we will get there and get some dinner, and then wake up Sunday and kind of go look around, because this is like the third time I've got to go to a Bengals game, but like I'll actually be going to a home game. I've been offered twice before and didn't get to go. So we're going to kind of look around. I've always drove by and seen the stadium, so I'm just excited to get there early and everything.
It'll be fun. So make sure, I know we're going messaging back and forth on Facebook right now. I'll send you my cell number, and I'll make sure we get you some places you got to hit, and we'll connect on the tickets and the parking pass for you too. Okay. So have a fun weekend. It's going to be a great weekend. We're finally going to get another win here against the city up north, and you're going to be here for it, Alexa. Thank you. We appreciate everything.
Congratulations, Alexis.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
True day. See ya.
There we go.
All right.
I think she was on before when we tested the audio and video, and she was at the last road win that the Bengals had in Atlanta. Never experienced inside Paul Brown Stadium, so maybe that last road win luck will translate to the Jungle Sunday, and she'll be our good luck charm to bring us another win.
Yeah, fun stuff. So guys, I know we're really running late, but you know what? I don't care, because I was so anxious about this, because you've got some older players, not Willie, but Anthony is a little bit older. We've had some connection issues with some of the older guys. Like last week, Jim McNally couldn't log on. I was stressing all day about Anthony being able to get on, then Willie being able to get on. It worked out. It was great, and the interaction from everybody following was outstanding. Sorry we didn't get to more of your questions on this, but let's go ahead and close it out. Jamie, we'll start with you, bud.
Well, tough week to be a Bengals fan, but at the same time, this was such a great episode. I think it made up for the little bit of depression I think we were feeling after that. We blew that lead in Indianapolis. But other than that, I'm looking forward to this Sunday's game, hoping for a rebound. I'm still liking what I'm seeing from Joe. So we'll see what happens.
All right. James?
For me, again, I just want to thank our friends at the Bengal Trailer for a great tag team tailgate Sunday in Indianapolis. Remember those T-shirts that you buy, proceeds for those will go to the Anthony Munoz Foundation. We will have them Sunday at the tailgate. You can also send us a PM. We can mail them if you're not local. That's not a problem at all. We do have some limited sizes, so let us know about that. Again, thank you to our friends at Houday Nation, and what a heck of a 25th anniversary show with two Bengal legends on there. I know we've been trying to get them on for a while, and it came together, and it was good seeing a lot of our friends in Indianapolis. It was a fun pregame. Game didn't go so well, but look forward to get back on track Sunday at home. For a lot of people have asked, we're going to be in the same lot. As everybody knows, that's a private lot. You can pay when you pull in. There's nothing to pre-register for, and look forward to a nice socially distanced tailgate where everybody's safe, and go in and watch us beat the team up north.
Yeah, guys. I mean, who would have thought that draft night we were just doing this as a one-time deal, right? Just to kind of have some fun with interacting with fans. We had those 2,000 fans live that night for the draft show. We had a great evening that evening, and And now we're 25 episodes later, man. And this is a lot of fun. I enjoy doing it with you guys. And, the viewership keeps growing. A lot of fun Bengal fans interacting here. And guys, it's very easy to get down on the team right now and get negative because you have the right to do that. Okay. Everybody does. And things are not going well right now for the team. But I always believe that it's never as bad as you think it is, but it's never as good as you think it is. Okay. At the end of the day. And I can't dwell on the negative. I mean, I have to be real. What's going on? It's not going well, but I know what makes things right now. They get a damn victory this week against the city up north. It's going to make us feel a hell of a lot better. And count it, Bengals get a win this week against the city up north. And I do want to say one more thing, James. James hosted us up in Indianapolis at his house up in Brownsburg, Indiana. It's a little bit northwest of downtown Indianapolis. So free room and board at his house, at Lori's house. They made brisket for us. Lori made a boatload of food. We had a lot of nice bourbon sitting outside in the cold weather in his little fire pit up there we had. We had a great time up there. And the next day we went down and tailgated. And I want to hit one more thing that James said. It was great to see everybody at the tailgate. Whether you're with another tailgate here in Cincinnati or not, we go out of town. I liked what James, a tag team. It doesn't matter what tailgate you're with. It doesn't matter. We're all rooting for the same damn team. We went out of town. Our buddies from the trailer, us, bunch of groups of people got together up there. We had one hell of a time, and I appreciate everybody getting together and having just a hell of a time. It was a great time up until about maybe the second half at some point, but it was a great weekend in Indianapolis. And let's get a W this weekend, guys. Thanks so much for viewing, guys. We'll see you next Sunday. Hoo day, guys.
Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe.